Chris, Andrea from Superbly Supernatural, and
Joe from Superbly Supernatural too.
We decided to do a second podcast. This is going to be a frequent thing now where we do different episodes. And one of the main reasons for doing this as well is because our first podcast has become really popular in the last week or two. Someone told us that they've been watching it, they've watched it so many times, so we thought maybe it was time to do a second podcast.
Yeah. And here we are today. So, what we're going to try and go over today on this podcast particularly is we agreed on talking about stuff that's happened to us in our lives from childhood, well not baby, but whatever age we had things happen to us, experiences of the paranormal. And that's what we decided to do today, to not just to get to know us, why we were so interested in the paranormal. And that's where we're going to begin. I think Andrew's going to draw into something that happened to her when she was a child. We're going to move, we're going to
switch over. But yeah, so this episode is basically, this is episode 2, and this is why we got into the paranormal and things that happened in our personal lives. So for the first thing for me, my experiences started when I was 4 years old. There was a few things before this event happened. But my grandfather died, my gramps, when I was 4 years old. And I think it was a couple of days after his death when I remember him being at the end of my bed, and he was dressed in a navy suit, and I wasn't frightened. Obviously I'd known he passed away. I didn't know what death really was at that point, and I loved my gramps to death, and he loved me. He was my everything as a child, and he visited me, and it was later on that my mum told me that he was buried in a navy suit, which was amazing. So that's when my experience started, and things went on from there. There was a lot that I couldn't explain growing up. I didn't understand it. It took me many years going into my adulthood to understand. I can't even put it into words what I went through. I had trouble at bedtime a lot because my parents thought I was having dreams, but there was also instances where I'd stand out in our hallway looking in the mirror and saying that there was things that I didn't understand that were going on, and I don't know how my parents really dealt with that, but I now know what that was all about, and it was what I was seeing as a child, and I know now to be paranormal and things that I could see. Joe?
Yeah, I mean, my experiences started off, well, I've got to go back to when my parents, my mother said that, I don't remember this because I was too young, as a baby. She said that I used to wake up as a little baby, and I don't know what age that would have been, whether she means 1 or thereabouts, but I was a baby.
That's really
she
nice.
said, and this was in Belmont in Sutton in Surrey. The house was very active when I was a child, maybe for us it was. Anyway, my mother said that when I was a baby that I always used to get up in their bed, so I was up there to show you how small it was. And I'd sit up and I'd go like that. This was every time, about 12:15 every night. And I'd go from the door of the lounge, the bedroom, their bedroom, across there, they had a bay window. And they said I used to just go like that, like I was following someone like that. And every night I'd be doing this for months. And my dad at the time, not my mother, but my father was into spiritualism. I don't really know that much about that, but I know they tamper with stuff. It's kind of that. So whether he brought something back or whether the house had something within it, because stuff happened later on in my life. Shall I explain that? Because that's the
and they say that babies can see spirits.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so that's a baby. I don't remember any of that because I was too small. But when I got to about 3.5, 4. The bedroom that we were in, this was the front bedroom, my mother's dad's bedroom at the front of the house, and then you came around, there was another bedroom here, there was a corridor around that, there was another bedroom towards the back, where there was a bathroom at the back. Me and my sister were in that little room because we were tiny, and as you walked in the door, to the right was my bed, the window was over there, and her bed was diagonally on the other corner. I never forgot, it was crazy. You know when you're little and you have a dream, right? Okay, you know this is different. I even got under the sheets, and I looked back and everything was still happening. And it was really strange. I mean, you've got to remember, when these things happen, and you're that young, I don't know about orbs and stuff. I do now, obviously. We know all about orbs and stuff, and that's what I kind of saw a manifestation. This white manifestation thing coming around the wall, and it came around the top of the wall, and I was lying in the bed. I was only small, and I was curious, but I was scared. And then over on my sister's bed, diagonally to the right. Now the room's dark, but it was one of those long windows. They used to have long windows, and the hallway light was on, so there was a bit of light in there, right, tiny bit. And my sister's bed was diagonally the other way, the window's in, the door's there. And on the bed there was a monk, or it looked like a monk, because he had a big robe on, and he was like, I could see him praying. But he was kneeling on the bed, on her bed, so facing her, but in like a dark outfit. I can't say it was black, could have been brown.
Scary.
It was scary. That was a dark, and all of a sudden, the door of the bedroom, it was shut, but I could see it diagonally open, Andrea, and this is a strange thing. When I say three-dimensional, you know what I'm talking about. You can see the shape of the door, you can see it square, you can see the outlines of it, and yet you can see through it. But it was brilliant white. It was a really weirdest ever thing I ever saw. And then on the wall was like this will come up later, I'll explain that. In the door, out the doorway, there was a carriage. I could see it. It was a big. See the shape of it, beautiful, the most whitest white I've ever seen. You know what we talk about, Jordan. You get that white, you can't explain. Whiter than the lamp we got over there. What really celestial white. And there was people walking in. I don't know how to describe this. You've got to make the picture. Imagine like in the olden days, 1800s, and the woman got off. A man got off the coach, and he held the woman's hand and she offered her down. And then they walk across the room from the door, across through the bed, through the window, and gone. And I saw about 6 couples doing the same, but they were all, you could see the detail on them. Everything, even though they had the shirts, the ties, the women had the bonnets, the dress. Remember, I'm only 3.5, 4. I shouldn't know about this stuff. I probably don't even watch this stuff on the television. When I was a kid, it was just cartoons and that sort of thing. But I remember the intricate detail, and this all my life I've remembered it. And about 6 or 7 couples went through. And I could see the men coming down first, and they hold their hand up, so it was very old times. It could have been even older than that, I don't know. With the big dress, it could be any time. But definitely past, going back, pre-1800s periods. And walking through and just disappearing. But all the detail, perfectly, that's celestial white. I could see the details of everything. Even their faces. Even the haircut, everything was just white, and even the carriage was white. I was watching something. It was like watching a cine film or something like that, but amazing. And then just to finish off, Andrew, this experience I had on the wall, and Andrew knows about this because I've told it before. On the wall there was this. I didn't realise it was a toy at the time. It was a shape of these little people, like. Little things moving, and it'll come up in a minute what it was. And I remember looking at it thinking, what is that? Okay. And then, you know, that was implanted in my brain, and it was about 1990 something. I was watching Antique Roadshow. I told you about this, didn't I, Andrea? I'm watching Andrea. I've got my then girlfriend. She's in the kitchen doing something. I've gone, quick, get out of here. And she come flying in. I said, look, that's what I saw when I was a kid. And the excitement just overwhelmed me, because this is like how many years later? So if that happened in 19 whatever it was, it's about 25 years later. And so they put that up on the wall for me to look at. That's crazy. And I didn't know what it was until I actually watched this on Antique Roadshow, and I saw the shapes of it, and this thing that fixed to a Victorian pram, and I recognised that after 25 years. It just revealed the evidence to me that what I saw and what they were doing, you know, trying to please me, the spirits. But you know, there was that kind of Orby thing that came around.
Do you think they were showing you a toy
to try and show that that's what they were trying to make me comfortable?
Yeah.
I didn't know what that was all my life, and when I saw that on Antique Roadshow, I just jumped out of the seat there, I couldn't believe it. But that's my experience. I want to move on from that, but that house was particularly haunted. Lots of things happened in there, drawers getting banged, doors banging, lights going on and off. He had all of that.
You said something about your TV.
Oh yeah, that was a later. We'll talk about that later. That was later on in my life in my other house.
I can identify what you were saying. You know, as a child, putting your covers over your head.
Yeah.
Because I experienced that. I experienced things, and I was terrified at night as a child. I really was, because there was so much going on that I didn't really understand at the time. But one of the major events in my life that changed everything, and it really wasn't a positive one. When I was 11 years old, this is when everything changed, and it became quite terrifying. So I was going through puberty. I was 11 years old, and for some reason, I don't know which one of my friends, I think it was one of the older lot, said, you know, should we do a Ouija board? And I didn't know what that was. And we made it with cardboard, and we wrote the letters on it and that. And we did it a few times, and not a whole lot happened. I think at some point someone was messing around with it. Anyway, during the summer holidays, me and my friend decided to make one and do one in our home, in my home. And it was after that things started to change, and not for the good. It started very slowly, that things would start to move around, but they weren't obvious.
You saw them, or you just went somewhere and
No, so for example, you know, I had like a bay window, and I had little drawers with like my kiddie jewellery and all that in there. And we'd go out and we'd come home, and it would all be stacked in the wardrobe.
Yeah.
And no one else had been in the house. Anyway, that went on for a while, just little things like that. And then things started to get darker, and we'd have specifically a can of deodorant went flying across the bedroom. My bedroom drawers started opening on their own. Going to bed at night.
Did you see this happen? You mean you walked in the room and they were open, or did you actually
No,
see it?
it would happen in front of my eyes. And I'm trying to tell my mum. That this is going on.
What age were you now?
About 11 and a half.
So she wasn't listening.
No, and she didn't see any of this.
Yeah.
So things started to take a darker turn. The activity was upping. And at this point my mum did start to witness things. She saw pictures just fall off the wall for absolutely no reason. She did walk in my room one day, and I had this ball swinging thing, and that just went flying across the shelf. All the books come off the shelf above my bed. Excuse me. And then, right, this is where it gets darker. Me and my mum started to, well, it started with me actually. I started to hear noise. We had 2 cats at this point. We used to shut them in the kitchen downstairs at night. And I started hearing them walking around downstairs at night and talking. And hearing the kitchen door open. And we'd come down in the morning and the door would be wide open and the cats would be out. And I told my mum about this, and at this point I think my mum started to believe there was something going on. I started getting frightened in the night. I remember my mum getting up one night and grabbing me and running down the stairs out the front door with me, because we genuinely thought someone was in the house and they weren't. There's some things that I don't want to go into for my family's privacy, but let's just say that mental health was affected, and it became very serious, and this was not to do with me. I'm not going to go into that because it was an awful time. Now, the more that this activity grew, and it was poltergeist activity, the more things got worse, the more things, everything got wrong in our lives, the more someone's mental health went downhill. So I think I got to about 12 years old, and I remember coming home from school one day and my bedroom light was on when I came home, and it was about 4 in the evening in October time. And I went indoors and I sat down and I heard my floorboards going upstairs. So I flew out the house and went to my friend's house, got her brother, walked back. The light turned off in the bedroom as we were walking up to the house. And
your mum wasn't in, obviously?
No, she wasn't back from work, and no one was in there. So at this point, things had got so bad, it was just feeding off of everything that was going wrong in our lives, and it was causing things to go wrong in our lives, and it just fed and fed and fed. And at this point, my mum put the house on the market. We knew we had to get out of there. Me and my mum wouldn't go upstairs. We couldn't be downstairs with one of us upstairs or downstairs. We both had to be either downstairs together or upstairs together. It got that bad. My mum was terrified as well at this point. If I needed to go to the toilet or my mum needed to go to the toilet, we'd both go upstairs together. So yeah, we ended up moving home.
What location was that, Andrea? What area was it?
It's in Malden in Surrey.
Malden in Surrey. Right.
And I know that the last two people, the people that bought the house off of us.
You can name the road, it doesn't, you have to give the number.
The Green in Malden, Surrey. The people that bought the house from us, they lived there less than a year, and then the next people didn't last very long there. I don't know what happened after that, but I was genuinely terrified. There is a lot more to this story, but I'm not going to go deep into it. But it was a horrible time in our lives. It really was, and it caused a lot of distress. And our Christmas was ruined one year. My mum shut the cats in the kitchen when I was at school and she went to work. And she didn't really want to celebrate Christmas this year, but she put the tree up for my benefit. We had a little dining hatch in the between the kitchen and the living room. And we got home and the hatch was open, and the cats had wrecked, or were wishing the cats pulled the Christmas tree down, and my mum basically said, F Christmas, I'm not putting it back up, I can't cope with this anymore. And we did move.
Was it the cats or was it paranormal?
I don't know, that's the thing, really don't know. Because there was so much going on. Anyway, we did move, and I was terrified for, I think it was 6 weeks after we moved, and I remember saying to my mum, oh my God, it didn't follow us. And it didn't. And that was the end of it.
I think
but it's always stayed with me. It was a terrifying time for my life.
The thing with the tree though, what you've got to remember, like we always debunk bits and pieces.
Yeah, it could have been the cats. But how did they get in the living room?
Cats do that. I don't know, they might have opened the hatch. And
no,
the cats
it was a glass slide, you had to put your fingers.
No, I'm not saying the cat's done that.
Oh, the pat.
What I'm trying to say is the spirit might have opened the door. It doesn't say it pulled the tree down.
No.
Cats tend to jump on Christmas trees.
We did kind of tend to believe that, so, the cats did pull it down.
But I think, opening a glass door, I know you're talking about a side door, cats don't do that. But I mean, it could have affected the tree as well. But I mean, the trouble is, if you've got animals in a house, certain things you've got to allow for it. When we go out on investigations, it's the same with wildlife and stuff like that, or even domestic animals. Like we had things the other day, but we'll move on from that.
But can I just say, guys, and this is the seriousness of it, and still to this day, even though we do paranormal and we'll do a spirit board, I will never ever do a spirit board in my home or anyone's home ever again.
No.
And I want you to know that they are dangerous if you don't know what you're doing, and don't ever use one in your home.
Well, we do them out.
We
on locations. Sometimes depends where we are, old houses, graveyards, a couple of times here and there. But
I was very wary about it.
I'm always wary about it even now. I'm not particularly gone on using them.
We do close the ball properly. We know what we're doing, and we do always use it outside or in a place that's totally abandoned.
I mean, I prefer equipment and stuff.
I do.
And that's an old way of doing things, and it works.
Yeah.
But there is a danger element to that because it's like making a portal for them to come through in a sense.
Yeah.
And you don't know what's coming through. We use all this technical stuff. And it's interesting, but I mean the last thing you want is something demonic to follow you home, like what you had at it's obviously had at your
People
parents'
have
house.
come to me and said that Ouija boards are bullshit, it's all lies, and I have to argue with them. Well, I don't argue with them, but I have to say that I went through hell. It was really serious.
Yeah.
It is no joke, and it is real.
I'll just let everyone know, sorry, because we've been doing a podcast, we're going to continue.
We've got our two girls.
We've got Victoria on your left and Elizabeth on your right, and the opposite way for us.
You'll see them flickering, and that's the energy within them. They weren't haunted. They weren't intended to get haunted. We literally got them as trigger objects to help spirit communication when we went out, something that spirits could identify. We never expected them to get haunted, and I don't take my haunted dogs out, they stay at home.
And we've had them specially adapted, we've had them done with MAD devices, activating devices, and EMF devices built into them. So
you'll see something interesting here. So you'll see they're activating their own K2 EMFs, We've got K2 there, and it's not going off, so that proves that the energy is within their vessel.
It's inside these spirit dogs, and that's why we put it up for you to see. So we'll talk about other instances in our lives, Andrew. Should I just go on to Belmont House a bit more, to elaborate on that a little bit more, because obviously we lived there. We lived there for about 3 years, and it got quite hectic. When we moved out of there, we moved to Epsom, and nothing happened there. As I got a bit older, things stopped happening. So I think as I got past Belmont, so it would have been about 4, 5, I got to Epsom, and I basically lived there and went to school, and nothing really happened there, except for when my dog died. I think I told you about that, and this is going to sound strange, but this is absolutely true. I loved him. He was, I had him when I was 3, so I had to take him and get him put down when I was 17. And when I come back, I was in tears. I couldn't go to work for 2 days. I said to Dad, I can't go to work. I need some time with me. I locked myself away for 2 days because my dog died. A couple of weeks after that, we made a coffee. Done what everyone does with their animals. We loved him that much, and I wrapped him all up and we put him in a little coffin we made and buried him down the garden, right down the bottom. It was a big old garden, a couple of 100 foot long. So I buried him under the garden. Anyway, I've gone down the garden a couple of weeks later, and I stood near where he was grave, and all of a sudden I looked to the right, Andrew, and the bushes to the back, and then they went over a little bit of a hill at the back of my mum and dad's garden. There was a fence to the park, and he used to go that way. And all of a sudden, as I looked, I saw him. He was like patchy, like he was patchy, but he was all like grey looking. And I went showing him, and he just ran through the same hole of the bush, and he was gone, doing his same thing what he used to do. Now whether that's a repeat,
but also letting you know I'm alright.
I love you.
I'm
alright. Because he didn't have to repeat at that point, unless it was just. Well, I think it's the energy when people die. We've discussed this before. There's a bit of energy left for a while. I think everyone knows about that. Like you said, your granddad came to you. Even if it lasts for 6 months or 2 months or a couple of weeks.
I think they stay for how long they feel they need to.
And that's an animal I've talked about tonight. I don't know if anyone else out there wants to make a comment about that, or have they ever had an experience, because animals are still...
We'd love to hear from anyone that...
A part of your life. Your children are part of your life. Your grandparents are part of your life. Everyone's part of your life. Your friends. Whoever you love and whatever you love, and you have that bond between you, I think that when people pass away, they just want to let you know. And that was just an experience. Sorry, Andrew, I went on a bit there. Do you want to go on with your next?
That's fine. We had a similar thing when our beloved cat died.
Yeah.
And he really was a special cat. And after he passed away, and my mum experienced this, she didn't believe me at first. But my bed dipped down at night and I could feel him jumping on the bed even though he was gone.
Yeah.
And then my mum experienced the same and she went, oh my God,
Mm.
he was on my bed. And then that happened for about a week or two and it stopped.
I mean, I can give you an example of that. It's not what I had experienced, but my mother told me that her mother, my grandfather got killed. He was a bailiff. He was in the army, came out of the army, and he was a bailiff. It's not the best of jobs. But this was an accident. I think it was a hit and run. I don't think they called it birds of day. But anyway, he was on a cycle bike. He got killed. Now, I think I don't know if I told you about this, but when my grandmother, so his wife, my mum's mum, she was obviously distraught. But for the next 2 weeks after he died, she could hear the bike coming in and banging against the outside wall. And my mum said to me she heard it every night around the same time.
Yeah.
And he had a cycle bike and then it touched and there was nothing out there.
It's quite a common,
Just
it is a common thing.
So I think when you talk to different families, people do have different experiences. But as I say, my experiences, apart from the house at Belmont, I mean, it was active, not as active as Andrea's house. Yeah, there was the odd drawer getting banged, a couple of drawer downstairs in the middle of the night, lights flickering. You just felt the presence of something in there. And I was only young. And then my dad rented that house out. We moved to Epsom, and he kept the house, but rented it out. And I was the same with you. Some people moved in. They was only in there a couple of months, and then was out. We never found out what. And then I think someone else had it for a year and a half. And then eventually, my dad rented it out to a church and for missionaries that were working for a church, so they were in there for a while.
And then no ghosts went.
I don't think, no, probably not, because they were all Bible bashers.
Yeah.
But he rented it out to them, and they had it for about 7 or 8 years. And then after that, my sister moved in there. She had no problems with that, as far as I can remember. So whether that energy just died out, or whether it was just at the time because I was a little child, because they do come apparently when there's little children or when kids are going through puberty. It's been proven
that's exactly what
happens a lot. And it can happen like you can hear a parent after you've died, or they come to see you, or grandparent or whatever. It does happen. It can't be just a figment of imagination.
It's not, and I can talk about experiences that have happened to me.
Yeah.
When my dad died, I so wanted him to visit me, and I've been open to, and I've had a lot of experiences throughout my life where I have been not gifted, but I've been lucky to see a lot of things. I've seen a lot of spirits.
There's got to be a reason why you had them experiences.
I think I became more and more in tune with it, and it definitely started in my childhood. But my dad, bless him, he died when I was 20, and he's the only person in my life that's passed away that has not, I've never seen him, put it that way. I had an experience where I thought I saw him driving in a car and he waved to me when I was waiting for a bus. I don't know whether that was a spirit or not, but I don't feel that I've ever had a visitation.
It's a great experience.
From my dad.
It's a great experience.
Yeah, it was. It was very weird. It was like I went somewhere for a moment. It was very strange. My nan, I knew when she died, before I was told she died. I was in hospital at the time, and I think it was on a Sunday at 11 p.m. and all the books fell off the bookshelf, and I was sitting in this little room on my own.
Is this the same house?
Oh no, this was in 2012.
So where was this?
I was in hospital at the time.
No, but where did this happen? The books coming on the shelf. Where did that happen?
When my nan died in hospital.
Oh, you was in hospital?
Yeah, I was in hospital.
Sorry, I didn't really thought you were.
And I didn't know she died. And no one was telling me because they didn't want to upset me while I wasn't well. But I was told a week later, when I was told that what day she died and what time, I remember by what happened. It was really weird. And I've had a lot of that throughout my life. I've seen full-bodied spirits. I dated a boy, man.
It's just a something on the soldier.
Yeah. When I was...
This was really...
So I was 26.
Activated device going off on Victoria.
Oh, Victoria.
Hi, Victoria.
Yeah, so I was dating a guy back in 2026, and he didn't believe in the paranormal at all. And I never felt comfortable in his house. They were quite well off, and they had a really, really big house in Belmont. And whenever I walked in there, I didn't feel right. I didn't like it. I didn't feel well. I felt really uneasy, and I didn't know why. I think it was the third time I was there, and I went to use the toilet, and when I come out of the toilet, I saw a full-bodied soldier sitting on the floor with his knees up crying, and then it was gone. It was really quick. And I walked in, and my boyfriend at the time said, "Are you alright?" And I said, yeah.
But you weren't really. After seeing that.
I didn't want to tell him because he wasn't the type of person that believed in all of this. And I did tell him, and he said, well, he said, that's really weird. Do you know what this place was years ago? And I was like, no, obviously I don't. He said this was like a World War hospital. There was a hospital here. I think there was a tent on site, and they treated the soldiers. Wow. So he did believe me.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's either a spirit or time slip or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's full body, so you put his clothing, he saw
everything.
Yeah, in detail.
But he was
not grey,
no, he was
see-through.
He was a grey green. He was very pale.
Right.
He was very pale, put it that way. But
okay.
it was like you and me sitting here right now. He was real, and it happened so quickly.
It was literally 1, 2, 3 gone.
Yeah. And this has gone on throughout my whole life. I could go on, and I'm not gonna because there's been so many things happen to me. And I was an outcast at school. I was labelled as a weird kid, and I embrace that now. I don't care. I went through hell.
So there's nothing wrong.
I went through hell at school.
Because what's weird about the school, you need to go back to school and tell everyone you're seeing ghosts.
I really should have kept my mouth shut. I really should have done.
Probably,
because I was labelled the weird. I was bullied at school and everything. It was horrible.
Yeah.
And I embrace that now. Because I was really lucky to experience. I know that now. Not the whole poltergeist thing. That was one of the worst things in our life. And I would never wish that on anyone. I don't want to go through it again. But I experienced a lot, and I saw a lot of spirits. And that stopped when I was about 30. Now I lived my last home that was haunted. It wasn't evil. I think it was an old lady who I spoke to, a psychic. And I'd see mists, and I still see mists and orbs, but I haven't, since about the age of 30, I haven't seen spirits.
I'll tell you what, I wish I could see an orb, because I don't. I mean, I haven't seen anything. The only thing, there was another episode, it was in the 90s, and I was living in that house in Earlsfield in Wandsworth, and the old Victorian house, and we just moved in. So you know when you first move in, you've got bits and pieces and cabinets, and so we had a sideboard next to the bed, and we had, sorry, not a sideboard, a table about the width of a portable telly, and we had a portable telly. This is going back 1980 something, and we were watching a film, lying in bed, and the next thing, and the telly literally would just fit on the side, but you only got to touch it, it fall off, so it just fitted exactly. Next thing, I'm not joking you, we're lying in bed, the telly, it's like someone had picked it up sideways and going bang, 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 bang. It was at least 2 inches either side, banging like that.
That's cold.
And then it went straight back flat. They've done it about 7 to 8 times. And we're lying there, I said, what is that? Like, and there was another instance where, because we moved in, the doors, you know with your doors, you have your carpets fitted. Yeah. And you have to get your doors trimmed because they're too tight. So the door was too tight. And they were in bed one night, and the next thing, you know, like, it can't be wind because the carpets, you need to get the carpenter to take the bottoms of the doors, and we weren't ready to do that. And somebody just pushed the door in, like from shut, not turn the handle, the door was open, and it pushed the door right open, and we couldn't believe that because and there was no one else.
That's a poltergeist with a lot of energy.
There was no one else there.
Yeah.
And so that telly thing was really weird. And then I've had little things, but I can't, you could go on forever really, little tiny things, but I can't prove that was paranormal, but that TV was paranormal.
Yeah.
Other little things I've had going on, like keys moves and that, by that which time we'd had children by then. So it could have been the kids moving something and then the next morning it's gone, so that's not, I'm not going to go on about seeing little bits and pieces, but that TV was a thing back in the 90s, and then after that, very recently, and this is really strange actually, because I haven't seen anything, you know, I don't have that ability, right? But I went on, I was hiking, doing a lot of hiking about a few years back, and we decided to train hard up. We was using Box Hill a lot and places like that, and then we went out to Snowdonia in northern Wales. And we've hiked up to Snowdonia. We trained hard for this, really hard, and we've done Snowdonia and we've done really well. We got up there quite quickly, and it's a long way up. If you've ever been there, you can get a train up there, but we hiked up. I can't remember the trail we went up, but the one we came back on was the Pig Trail. So anyway, we come back down the mountain, and it's really amazing because it was boiling hot that day. It was about 70, 73, 74. Top of the mountain, it's freezing up there, so you've got all clothes, and as you come down you take your skins off. As we come down past these locks, these big locks, these lakes, apart from we had a little dip and a swim, but that's not what I'm getting to. As we come past all this, the last lake had a couple of stone cottages, no roofs on, they were ruins basically, and there was kind of about 60 feet away from the edge of this lock thing, not like a lake really. And I was talking to the girls, we were hiking, and I looked to my right, and like Andrew said, you know, you said you saw the soldier, it was like 1, 2, 3, gone. And as I looked to the right, talking, I looked across again at the houses and all that, and I looked over at the lake, and I could, all of a sudden, I saw this woman in a dress like one of these, yeah? Like Victoria's dress, more Victoria's I'd say, no hat on and all that, just her hair, and 3 little kids, probably about that high, giggling and running, chasing each other. I looked, and she was putting, either taking washing down off a long line, or putting it up, one or the other, but it was a long line, she had washing, she was doing something. And then it was 1, 2, 3, gone. And I was looking, and I said to the girl, I said, did you see anything of it? And they said, no, and I just thought, I can't believe that, what I've just seen. And that's the first time I've ever seen a solid, it weren't my imagination, it's impossible. I know we were hiking a long time and all, but I mean, we were eating well, we were well watered. It's not, I weren't suffering with dehydration, and I think I was as fit as a fiddle. So, and when I saw that, I know what I saw, and it was just gone, like as quick as I see it, it was gone. And that's the last experience, and probably one of the better experiences I've ever had, and on par with what you said when you saw the soldier. She looked solid. There was no greyness to it. It was as if like I'm looking at Victoria's dress. The colour was there, and the little kiddies running, tiny little things that were playing, chasing each other. And then it just quickly it was gone. And to be honest with you, nothing. That is the last thing that's ever happened to me. That was about 4 years ago.
I had a similar experience in Wales, but I did talk about that on the first podcast. I'm not going to go into that. It was a similar kind of thing. But I mean, we got into the paranormal. Obviously, we've both gone through things as children.
Yeah.
I've been very much in tune with the paranormal since a child and all through adulthood. I do get little signs, I think, from my dad. I've never felt that I've had a proper visitation from him. I do feel my nan's visited me, and other people have visited me, and pets have visited me, but never my dad. And that was one of the people, I suppose, that I wish would visit me. But I think on my birthday a couple of years ago, and my dad was a joker. He did something.
You said he was a joker.
He did something at midnight on my birthday, and I'm pretty sure that was him. I do. I'm not going to say what it is because you might kind of think it's weird, but I went, Dad, is that you? If it is, thank you for making me laugh. But can I just discuss that you and I met because we lived in the same block of flats, and someone kept, because my flat was haunted there, it wasn't negative as I say, and I think it was an old lady, and someone kept stroking my head at night.
And I told you about
it.
And
then you said the same thing was happening to you.
And it wasn't a big block of flats, it was like 4 floors, so there were about 9 flats.
Yeah, so maybe the building was haunted because
could have been. I mean,
and I got a Ring security cam at the time because there was so much going on through the night at times, and then it was just stopped for months. So I got a Ring cam, which I use for my dolls now. But that was originally for spirits, and I caught weird travel orbs in my house with that. Yeah,
I mean that's a subject that we discuss quite a lot as well, about orbs and stuff. I mean, you know, I used to think that they had to be the size of footballs, but you do, since we've had the dolls and things, I mean, the orbs that come out of the dolls, sometimes they are quite big, aren't they? And sometimes they...
Stacey produces massive orbs, but then I've had the other dolls produce like really like
small ones, they just come shooting out.
And I've learnt to tell the difference between dust and genuine orbs, and you do need to learn the difference, but you do get the hang of it in the end. You know what's real.
I think you do,
especially when they come directly out of the dolls. It's definitely them, and then shoot back into them, which is insane. I mean, all what I went through, what I told you about the darkness of the poltergeist activity that we endured for almost 2 years. Can you believe now? And nothing scares me anymore. We've both sat in places, we've gone to places, we've done this for so long now, nothing scares us anymore. And now I've brought these spirits into my house, but they're not, I wouldn't ever take them.
I just think, Andrea, sorry to butt in there, but I just think that when you've been doing this so long, if it hadn't been for you doing this, I don't think you probably would. I mean, you've had a couple of dolls for a few years now, but what I mean is, would you have really got into this unless you were really interested in the paranormal?
No.
And since you've been investigating outside the last 2.5 years, it just... Yeah, we do put ourselves into locations that are quite eerie, but also...
I sat in the middle of a cemetery while he was like 10 minutes away from me, in a big cemetery on my own. I'm not scared at all.
No.
Don't scare me.
But anyway, the whole idea of this podcast today was just this subject matter to do with our experiences with the paranormal and what happened to us, not about investigations, we can talk about that another time, but just what happened to us as children growing up and why we got interested into the paranormal and why we are here tonight doing another podcast with you. So I hope that's cleared a few things up, and that's why we're into the paranormal so much.
And we'd love to hear from you in the comments about your experiences as well.
We'd love to hear from you.
Don't think you're weird, just tell us, because we love it.
And we do understand you. Obviously, we all try and debunk stuff, right? But I mean, you know when you've had that experience, you know it's different, right? And there's nothing wrong. And if you're a child, like Andrea was or I was, talk to your parents. You know, there's nothing wrong with it. Talk to, if your kids come up to you and they tell you anything, talk to them and listen to them, because these things happen. I'm sure they still do now.
I think a lot of people are more open to it now.
Yeah,
it's more acceptable now. Back when you were a child, when I was younger, it wasn't. We didn't have all these paranormal TV shows. It wasn't spoken about. You were looked at as I know I was at school. As weird.
Yeah, because people think you're either making it up
or there's something wrong with you.
Yeah. And obviously, clearly, there is such a thing as supernatural, and in a sense, superbly supernatural. Supernatural events and paranormal. I mean, I've always had a great interest, and I'm going to go on about that because we'll do another one about that one. Of dimensions and people from different dimensions. Stuff like that, but we'll do another podcast. We just this one was purely to tell you about our experiences in our lives, right?
Yeah.
And I hope that you join us on another podcast. So.
Yeah. I just want to say that I don't, unfortunately, see full-body spirits anymore. I wish sometimes I could. I'm very much still a sensitive. I do feel them. I do sense them. and they can affect me in certain ways. And I can see mists and orbs, but I don't see spirits anymore. But I enjoy talking to my spirits at home. So yeah, thank you for joining us.
Yeah,
and
thank you.
It was really great to do this second podcast.
And from Superbly Supernatural, Andrea and Joe.
Andrea, Andrea.
Same thing.
And we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you very much. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for joining us.
Next topic next time. What secret it is, we'll let you know.
And thank you, our guests,
Of
Victoria
course.
and Elizabeth. I don't know if they've flashed their MAD devices or their K2s have been going up. They probably have.
Well, we'll have a
I hope
look
it
at
wasn't
that.
distracting. But they do like to join us on our investigation. They like to be on everything.
So from Joe and Andrea, see you later. Thank you very much.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you. Bye.
See you soon, guys.